Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending where you are. Thank you very much for joining for our session today. I'm Isolina Boto from COLEAD, and this is an UN Women COLEAD, and we have Alonso with us from UN Women-COLEAD partnership, which is South-South, all continents, and it's about empowering and growing women-led businesses. And the session of today is specifically looking at power in connection, all the collaborating and networking that there is out there for women business growth in the agri-food sector and beyond, actually. So it's a very, very interesting topic we have. It's how women can get organized, grow their business, and of course access a series of resources that we will speak in detail today. We have also a very interesting, very, very good panel. But before that, in the next slide, however, just because we have English, French, and Spanish interpretation, I ask you to just check your language, go to the little globe you have at the bottom of your screen, and choose one of those languages. Yes, you can follow in any of English, French, or Spanish. You also have the Q&A part for the questions that we will consolidate at the end. I mean, we first have all the presentations and then we will get the questions, but please feel free to just pose them as the presenters present, do their presentation, and also, of course, anything you want to share or insights or, interesting ideas. Also, know that you can ask, of course, contacts of speakers. They are free to share them, but we don't share ourselves because we have a law here that is a protection of data, that you know. But we are more than happy to connect you to the experts and to the speakers. So without a major delay, in the next slide, just 2 words about this partnership we have. It's really a long-standing one that we have been discussing with UN Women, but those series is really looking at women in business, so really already women, producing, selling, exporting, etc. All markets, be local, regional, or export, all regions in the world, and really foster that collaboration among entrepreneurs, showcasing successful experiences, be of women entrepreneurs or women networks as today, and really hoping that these enhance business skills, market access, and networking opportunities, because any of our organizations here have a series of tools and services, COLEAD and UN Women and all of you, that really are helpful for women in business. So my colleagues, in the next slide, my colleagues will share in the chat again the program that you should all have received, as well as the biodata, the detailed one of our speakers. Basically, we have speakers from networks, women-led enterprises, really networks supporting women in business. We have from Ghana, actually from Africa, all continent, and in Ghana, it's also Africa, all continent. We have Asia and Oceania, and we have as well South America and Latin America. And UN Women, obviously, that covers the whole continent. But without major delay, that's from our registration list, which is about almost 500 participants registered today. And if you go to the next slide, just 2 words, because Jeremy will expand much more. It's basically the two words on the why collaboration and networking, because we think that really women are key to the SDGs and to any sustainability agenda for us, COLEAD in the agri-food, but in all sectors. And really, with all the constraints we have already mentioned in the previous sessions, but the ones that will come in today as well, it's critical that really we support already ongoing, networks supporting women, which is why we have invited them today, that they can access all these available tools and support in different areas, in markets, in business development, in finance, etc. And this, we think, it's a valuable, really, way of contributing to market, trade, economic and social development, and so on. So without major delay, let me give the floor and thanking him very much for being with us today. Jeremy Knops, who is the DG of COLEAD. He will tell 2 words about COLEAD, the organization I work for, and really how much we support women across continents as well in different activities, and how much we are open to collaboration and exchange with other networks, and of course supporting, in our case, the agri-food sector and private sector women in business. So thank you very much, Jeremy, and if you give us some insights from your side. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Isolina, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. So it's my pleasure, of course, to welcome you to today's session, Power in Connection, co-hosted by COLEAD and UN Women. And we are truly honored to gather such a dynamic and diverse group of organizations and networks across all continents, as Isolina has been saying, which we believe are all united by a shared vision really today. It's empowering women in business through collaboration, connection, and shared purpose. Now, across the globe, what we see, of course, is that countless women are building businesses, driving innovation, transforming their communities. But far too often, what we also see is that they do so in isolation, facing barriers to markets, finance, knowledge, and of course also networks. And that's where the power of connection can become truly transformative. So at COLEAD, our mission is really centered around enabling sustainable and inclusive agri-food systems where really no one is left behind. And this is especially the case, of course, for women. And at COLEAD, what our own kind of gender equality policy, we believe it's not only a question of justice, but it's really a question of women acting and being a catalyst for strong economies and more resilient communities. So we often define ourselves as an organization with a toolbox. As Isolina said, we're a private sector, not-for-profit association. So we have resources, we have a toolbox. We design and develop and implement projects and programs. We also often define ourselves as a global network with different communities that we want, of course, to connect to each other. And all these communities, they bring together producers, entrepreneurs, researchers, experts, institutions, policymakers, academia, civil society, financial intermediaries. And through programs such as Fit for Market Plus, which is funded by the EU and the OACPS, one of our focuses is creating spaces like the one here we're creating with UN Women, spaces where knowledge is of course shared, where collaborations can be formed, and where opportunities are unlocked. And within this ecosystem, women, of course, are a vital force. Now, more specifically at COLEAD, in terms of support to women entrepreneurs, we do so by of course, facilitating connections to regional and international markets, facilitating peer-to-peer exchanges and mentoring being on the technical managerial side. We offer, of course, a range of technical assistance and capacity building activities, some of which are specifically targeting women. And also work in the area of intermediation with financial organizations. And so we know that women often face greater challenges, as already said, in accessing finance, technology, markets, decision-making platforms. But what we also know, and that has been evidenced by research over and over, that when women support women, when institutions back their growth, and when networks like the ones we have today, and like all the platforms, networks that are present in today's session are there, and that they can foster genuine collaboration, that's when we really have real change. And that's why we believe the conversation of today matters. It's really about leveraging the power of connection, not really just as a concept, but as a real tool for more inclusive business ecosystems. Now, our partnership with UN Women on this initiative reflects a shared commitment to scale to scale up women's participation and impact in business and trade through interconnected, sustainable networks of support. So you'll hear today from inspiring speakers, real-world case studies, and hopefully you'll be able to really initiate some virtual dialogue with each other on how we can all support and strengthen women-led enterprises through strategic partnerships. As I'll close now my remarks, we'd like to invite you on behalf of the team, all participants, to maybe reflect around a couple of key questions. Who are you connected to? And who are you empowering through that connection? What spaces can we open for others? And how can we together ensure that women are not only included in networks, but are shaping and leading them? Thank you. This collaboration with UN Women is not only about making sure that every woman entrepreneur is part of the conversation, but most importantly, at the center of change. So I hope we'll all have a fruitful session today. And I would like to thank, of course, all of you for being here, all the speakers for your time, and looking forward to it. Thank you. Back to you, Isolina.
Thank you very much, Jeremy. Thank you very much also Alonso from UN Women. And we're very pleased to have a man, in this group, because we need to work as well, as we said from the first session, and we need the support of everybody. And here is talking about the support brought to women, and very proud as well of the support that COLEAD brings. And as I said, we are open really to collaboration with any of you. Now, without major delay, I go to Nana. So Nana Adjoa Amponsah, she's the founder of Guzakuza in Ghana. I've always been very much impressed by the work of Guzakuza in Africa. So you are from Ghana. You are currently actually in Uganda today, just traveled this morning. On top of that, we are very honored you join us today. It's your birthday, so happy birthday. And thanks for the time you give to us. So you're really a social entrepreneur and an advocate for women economic empowerment in Africa, especially in the agribusiness and agri-tech sectors. You have really launched a number of fellowship programs, support program initiatives like She Farms, Women in Agribusiness Week, that have been following with great interest these last years, and Africa Women in Agribusiness Awards as well. So I will be very pleased on behalf of the group to listen a bit to what you have done, what is the success of your initiative and how you support women. Thank you very much, Nana.
Thank you very much to colleague and of course the UN Women team for this opportunity. So today's my birthday, like you said, and it's only women's event that can pull me out on my birthday, and no events like networking event and collaboration. So I'm happy to be here. At Guzakuza, we started exactly 10 years ago. So we are 10 this year. And in 2015, we saw a gap. So series of gaps in the women in agribusiness sector. We realized that women were not able to connect. Women didn't have the platform to interact, to market. As of that time, there was no program for women in agribusiness. There was no award system for women in agribusiness. So we initiated that on the continent. And I'm happy to say that after 10 years, we have been able to support over 10,000 women directly. So I'm not talking about the indirect women. This is direct support across the continent. And now we've been on the diaspora. And for us, it's about the connection. It's about the power of connection. I'm happy that we are talking about the power of connection here because that has gotten us this far. We couldn't have done this alone without that connection. And so through these connections, through these ecosystems, we were able to also amplify the voices. We work mainly with women in the rural sector as well as women in the urban sector. And because of this, we're able to also amplify grassroots voices on stages like G20 because we showcase their stories. People also heard their stories. People invested in the women, the rural women. I remember Mercy, and we showcase her story on platforms such as the G20 and also African Union. She was able to get support from institutions, right? And then we've also been able to create leadership programs. We created visibility pathways, funding pathways, and as we go along, we'll see some of the things we have done. So what are some of the barriers we faced? This is personal to me because we as an organization faced several challenges, but because of networking, because of connections, we were able to also give back. We were able to bridge some of build some bridges. So we realized that women faced, and I'm happy that Jeremy mentioned some of these barriers already. So I'm just going to limit it to the women in agribusiness sector, which is the sector I work in. So they had limited access to land, of course, everybody knows this. Limited access to land, limited access to capital, limited access to markets. And I even added that they didn't have access to visibility because it's important to be out there. If you're not out there, people will not know you. If you're not out there, people will not support you. And that is why it is important to attend networking events such as this. We also realized that there were few women in leadership roles, and also few women had policy voices. So when we started, it was not normal for you to see a woman in the agribusiness space speaking on policies. Even as of now, we don't have a women in agribusiness policy in Ghana. We have youth in agribusiness policy in Ghana. We don't have women in agribusiness policy in Ghana, right? So even now, 2025, we don't have. You can imagine 10 years ago. So it was not normal for you to see women leaders in the space. It was not normal for you to see women advocating for policies. Also, we had so many support systems, so fragmented support systems. We didn't even know where to go. So, for example, if you wanted training, where were you going? It wasn't focused, right? So we had tech, we had health, but we didn't have proper structure for the women in agribusiness sector or even the agribusiness space. They were fragmented. Now, this is what we did. We created Ignite, which is women leadership program, because we realized that there was none as of the time we started in 2015. So we created that on the continent, the African Women in Agribusiness Fellowship, that gave women the opportunity to come together, to learn, to collaborate, to trade amongst themselves. And I'm happy to tell you that now Ignite is in the 9th year. So this year we have 9 cohorts and directly impacted several women on the continent. And they travel to each other's country just to trade because they got that connection from Ignite. We also have She Farms. So for She Farms is a local program in Ghana that is for only those working in Ghana. That is a training program where we allow women to network, where we train women, we give them the necessary support, the necessary resources to be able to start their own farms. It's more like, we call it farm incubator model. So you're on the farm for 6 months, you learn how to farm, then you get your friends and your colleagues to support you. So it's more like a networking incubator where people can connect to each other. And through these programs, people have been able to support each other. People have been able to trade. I remember Ruth from Malawi traveling all the way to Ghana to collaborate with Lucy in Ghana. So they formed a processing plant. They had a processing unit just because of Ignite, and they were able to get investors to support that initiative. So Malawi, Ghana, Southern Africa, Western Africa coming together just because of the power of connection. We also have Wi-Fi magazine. Like I said earlier, it is important to amplify the voices of women. Over the years, I've worked with women for more than 10 years, and I know that women are doing a lot, especially on the continent. But we are not able to talk about what we do. And even when I started, I thought my work was going to speak for me. Oh, and I mean, that was the thing. Do the work will speak for you. Do the work. But that is not true now. And I've written a book on this. I'm hoping to launch it in the next couple of months. That is not the case now. As you're working, you also need to talk about what you do. You never know who your story will inspire. You never knew where your support is coming from. So it's important to be out there, to be visible out there. So we issue the Wi-Fi magazine to also amplify the voices of the women who are actually on the ground, who are doing the work, because we also hear stories of women who are not doing, people who are not doing anything, but they get all the support. So what about the women who are actually on the ground doing it? Why can't we hear about them? So the Wi-Fi magazine is there to amplify the voices, to spread their stories, to share what they are doing for people to see the things they're doing. We also have WOW Africa, which is the Women in Africa, Women in Agribusiness, which for this program, that is why I am even here in Uganda. We are launching it tomorrow. And it brings people, it's a platform where women on the continent come together to share ideas, to discuss ideas, to trade among them. For me, it's all about collaboration because I've experienced it, I've lived it. I know how connection helps. I know how collaboration helps because we can't do it alone. It's not about competition. I don't want women to compete. We have to collaborate. And I love how some of the men do it. You barely see men competing, right? But sometimes women do compete. And I'm just throwing this challenge that it is not healthy to compete. When we come together, we can be able to do a lot. We also have the Wi-Fi conference now in the UK. So for now, we are trying to create that collaboration between Europe and Africa. How can the women in Europe have access to the raw materials in Africa? How can the women in Africa also trade in Europe? So that is the collaboration we are having. So in October, we are having this conference for women in Africa and women in the UK to come together, to connect, to collaborate, and of course, to network. Okay, so this is my challenge to you, all of you here, and I know that you are building businesses. It's important to empower yourself, all right? Before you'll be able to network, you can't just go out and show nothing. You need to show something. Somebody will be interested in you because of what you do. So it's important to empower yourself. It's also important to brand yourself intentionally. People need to know what you're doing. People need to know about your story. So brand yourself intentionally. And of course, if there is no network, you can create it. Don't wait for people to create it for you. Be the creator. If there is no network in your space, create it. Let people join in. That's what I did. When I started Guzakuza, there was no fellowship. I created it. So this is my challenge. If you're a woman here, you need to create it. Let people also join. Help people to grow. Mentor people. Form that network. And I hope that together we can all build thriving businesses. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nana. Very, very interesting. And we look, of course, forward to read your book and tell us when it's available. We will be happy to share it. And also, Nana, could you specify on that? Because you touched something very critical on the markets. Of course, one of the areas where you are working a lot. You have one in the UK, a kind of agribusiness forum. You also do in Africa. Can colleagues, at least it's reserved for African or other continents can also come in? And if it's only Africa, are women entrepreneurs still on time to join?
Yes,
and we will be happy to share the information, and Nina will be happy to do that.
Yeah, so it's open to everybody, especially our men. So I'm happy that COLEAD is also asking men to join. That is it. So it's open to everybody. The WOW this year we are having it in Kampala, Uganda, from 1st November to 8th November. And then for the UK, we are having it from 28th to 30th October in Mayfair, London. We're also having WOW Ghana from 17th to 20th September. So everybody's invited. If you go to our website, you get the information, www.guzakuza.com. And also it's also on the Eventbrite. So you just have to Google Women in Agribusiness Week. Eventbrite will give it to you.
Thank you very much.
Media. Yes, thank you.
Yes, Nina has put the website. Please look, because one of the things, of course, that is already happening, and we encourage a lot from COLEAD, UN Women and partners, it's South-South trade. It's South-South collaboration, but also South-South trade. And we see a lot already among continents, Caribbean, Africa, Latin America, Caribbean, Asia, Africa, and so on. So I think there are opportunities, and I'm very happy, Nana, that you share what you have done. And indeed, you have to get out there, get as much information as possible, and you get many opportunities. And many of them, at least I know it from COLEAD, are even accessible. You know, they are free, or they connect you with people really with means and so on. So thank you so much. I'm sure that you will have many questions as well from the participants. So without major delay, let's because we have 5 panelists today, let's go now to actually Latin America and Caribbean. So Irasema, she will speak in Spanish, but just for the interest on time, I will do in English. Irasema Infante is the lead sector specialist at the Inter-American Development Bank. So you have over 15 years of experience in regional development across Central America and Mesoamerica. And at the IDB, who is a key actor in finance in the sector, and COLEAD is collaborating with in specific countries. You have led initiatives in economic and social infrastructure, including the modernization of border crossings, interconnection, access to livelihoods, regulatory reforms, and so on. So really the ecosystem, which is critical for women entrepreneurs. But for today, of course, all this is important because you need to have this in place for an entrepreneur to operate. But for today, you really will present to us ConnectAmericas for Women. It's really an IDB, so Inter-American Development Bank initiative aimed at expanding opportunities for women entrepreneurs in Latin America and the Caribbean. And this is, you will tell us details, but market access, business support, and so on. So we really are very, very happy to have you. We thank you for your time as well, and very happy to learn more, about ConnectAmericas. So please, Irasema.
Thank you, Isolina,
Muchas gracias,
for the introduction, and I'm very pleased and honored to be here. I'm representing my colleagues that lead this women initiative inside the broader initiative of ConnectAmericas. So women support each other, and very inspired by what we already heard, and hopefully learn a lot from all of you, and share some insightful resources for you on what we are doing at the IDB. So yeah, my presentation is in Spanish. And first, I don't know if you can please share the first slide, but I will start by, voy a empezar, perdón, hablando de ConnectAmericas. Es la plataforma empresarial más grande de América Latina y el Caribe. El banco la creó en 2014 precisamente con el objetivo de promover el crecimiento y la internacionalización de las pymes. Las pymes, en última instancia, las pequeñas y medianas empresas, son el motor económico de América Latina y el Caribe, representan alrededor del 99%, representan el 99% de las empresas y generan cerca del 67% del empleo. Realmente son críticas. Sin embargo, solo el 14% está liderada por mujeres, lo que claramente evidencia una brecha de género en el ecosistema empresarial. Y teniendo, digamos, hay unas barreras adicionales que muchas veces enfrentan las mujeres, que van desde acceso a financiamiento, redes de contacto más restringidas y una baja participación en las cadenas de valor. Por ello es que de manera muy temprana notamos que existían estas barreras adicionales para las mujeres, y en 2016 se lanzó Mujeres ConnectAmericas. Mujeres ConnectAmericas es una plataforma completamente gratuita. Aprovecho para hacer el comercial, y estaremos compartiendo las ligas correspondientes, que busca promover la participación de mujeres en el comercio exterior y en las cadenas de valor. Si pudiéramos pasar a la siguiente, por favor. Busca promover la participación, conectar empresas lideradas por mujeres a través de comunidades virtuales especializadas, fortalecer sus habilidades a través de cursos en línea, artículos, videos y autodiagnósticos, y destacar aquellas empresas lideradas por mujeres que están legalmente constituidas. Entonces, digamos, ese es el concepto de esta plataforma digital ConnectAmericas. Y a lo largo de del recorrido, digamos, desde su lanzamiento a la fecha, se han alcanzado hitos muy importantes. Si pudiéramos pasar a la siguiente, por favor.
Aoifa, next slide.
Can we go, yeah, please, to the next slide? Sorry.
I don't know if the system...
Thank you. Desde su lanzamiento en 2016, como mencionaba, se han alcanzado hitos muy importantes en el desarrollo de esta plataforma. Al día de hoy hay más de 200,000 usuarias mujeres registradas en la plataforma y 80,000 empresas en propiedad o lideradas por mujeres que están activamente participando. Hemos capacitado a más de 120,000 mujeres en comercio exterior, en transformación digital, en finanzas empresariales y en algunas otras temáticas. También de este pool de empresas, 75 empresas lideradas por mujeres recibieron asistencia técnica especializada entre 2022 y 2024. Y quizás el logro, uno de los logros pues, más significativos es que al día de hoy se cuenta con una participación del 45% de mujeres en nuestras ruedas de negocios local. Digamos, hemos visto un poco la transición y cómo se han ido incrementando estos números hasta llegar a este porcentaje que pensamos que no es un dato menor. Next, please. Siguiente, por favor. Y ahora quisiera contarles un poco los recursos que tenemos disponibles para mujeres empresariales y van a ver que hay, digamos, una gama de herramientas disponibles. Podemos, next, please. Tenemos programas de capacitación y asistencia técnica especializada. Estos son, digamos, cursos gratuitos en transformación digital, en acceso a cadenas de valor y acceso a financiamiento. Next, please. También hemos creado algunos cursos asincrónicos de autoaprendizaje. Can we go to the next, please? Sorry, maybe because of the language there's a bit of a delay. Como mencionaba, hemos creado algunos cursos virtuales. Aquí voy a destacar dos en particular, pero tenemos toda una, ¿no? La plataforma tiene un pool de conocimiento muy rico. Voy a destacar estos dos cursos. Uno es el programa de desarrollo de proveedoras, que básicamente busca promover la integración de las mujeres en la cadena de proveeduría de grandes empresas, gobiernos y organismos. Y también tenemos 25 cursos de autoaprendizaje en temáticas de comercio exterior, marketing digital, inteligencia artificial, administración financiera para pymes, entre otros. Y contamos con más de 40 webinars dirigidos a mujeres empresarias. Quisiera destacar que todos los recursos son gratuitos, son para autoaprendizaje, cada quien va, digamos, avanzando a su ritmo, pero sobre todo y en el contexto de este foro, que estos recursos están disponibles en inglés, en español y en portugués, lo cual, digamos, sé que estamos en otra región y nuestro foco está en otra región, pero creo que muchas de estas herramientas podrían serle útiles a todas las participantes del foro del día de hoy. Si podemos pasar a la siguiente, por favor. Can we go to the next slide, please? Otro de los cursos virtuales que quisiéramos destacar es para cómo ser proveedora del BID. Y bueno, este curso en particular entra en mucho detalle en cómo es el proceso de adquisiciones dentro del banco y, digamos, ayuda mucho como a orientar, ¿no? Es un buen ejemplo para orientar cómo volverse proveedor del banco y, como decíamos, pues continuar este efecto de conexión ¿no? de empresas con aquellos que están requiriendo algún producto o algún servicio. A la fecha hemos formado más de 1,600 empresarias y, como mencioné, además de estos 2 cursos que estamos destacando, hay más de 40 webinars dirigidos a mujeres empresarias. ¿Podemos pasar a la siguiente, por favor? Next, please. Otro de los recursos importantes es el acceso al directorio de empresas de ConnectAmericas. A través de esta plataforma, las empresarias acceden gratuitamente a una red dinámica de más de 750,000 usuarios y más de 250,000 empresas de múltiples sectores, los cuales están registrados en ConnectAmericas. Como decía, de este pool, 80,000 empresas son en propiedad y o lideradas por mujeres. Esto es una información que recolectamos, es autodeclarada, ¿no? Cuando las las empresarias se registran, esta información se captura y así es que podemos ir, digamos, identificando, ¿no? Detectando cuando hay empresas lideradas por mujeres. Y también otra cosa que hacemos para, digamos, destacar esto es que ofrecemos una insignia especial, una suerte de badge, cuando se registran y declaran que al menos 51% de las empresas son en propiedad de mujeres y o su dirección general está a cargo de una o de varias mujeres. Y bueno, pues el hito es que a la fecha tenemos 80,000 empresas lideradas por mujeres en nuestro directorio. Siguiente, por favor. Can we go to the next slide? Siguiendo con los recursos que tenemos disponibles, también en la plataforma pueden tener acceso al tema de anuncios de compra. Esto, digamos, es importante porque le permite, ¿no? Acerca a las empresarias con oportunidades de negocios reales. Tenemos esta sección en donde grandes empresas y gobiernos publican las necesidades que tienen de productos y servicios y pues es una plataforma muy útil para hacer ese match, para identificar dónde está esta demanda y poder traer también su oferta, ¿no? Entonces, y con la ventaja de que es una lista de proveedores verificados, que sabemos que no es un tema menor, digamos, por, ¿no? Temas de confianza, etcétera, que puedan tener acceso a estos anuncios de compra. Si podemos pasar a la siguiente, por favor, can we go to the next one? Otra de las herramientas sobre las que les quiero comentar es una aplicación que se llama Bid for the Americas. Esta aplicación, que está impulsada por inteligencia artificial, también conecta con oportunidades de adquisición en América Latina y el Caribe. Es muy, digamos, de muy fácil uso, permite, ¿no? Estar un poco, recibir notificaciones. Esta aplicación está disponible tanto en el App Store como en Google Play y igualmente es gratuita y de muy fácil uso y digamos, pueden consultarla para cualquier tipo, pueden ahí, digamos, sintonizar como sus preferencias y estar pendientes de las oportunidades en América Latina. Can we go to the next one, please? Igual manera, siguiendo con los recursos, otro recurso muy importante y que, digamos, muchas de estas ruedas de negocios y eventos tienen ya, ¿no? Vamos por la 15ª edición, o sea, tienen muchas ediciones y han sido una fuente muy importante precisamente de conocimiento y de crecer estas redes de contactos. Son los eventos y ruedas de negocios que hemos realizado 50 entre 2020 y 2024. Hemos logrado que haya más de 10,000 empresarias participando. En particular, destacaría algunos foros como Lack Flavors, que está enfocado en el tema en los sectores de alimentos y bebidas. También está Outsource to Lack, que es un evento enfocado en el tema de servicios digitales. Y digamos, de estos eventos destacaría que 8 ruedas de negocios han sido exclusivas para empresas lideradas por mujeres entre 2020 y 2024. De igual manera, sobre las ediciones que hay este año de estos eventos, pues la información está disponible en ConnectAmericas si hubiera pues interés de conocer más sobre cada uno de estos eventos. ¿Podemos pasar a la siguiente, por favor? Otro de los recursos, diría, muy relevantes son las comunidades empresariales. Quizás aquí aprovechar para invitarlas, si están interesadas en participar. Contamos con espacios sectoriales y regionales en los que pueden participar, por ejemplo, Mujeres Alianza del Pacífico o Mujeres Empresarias, en donde pues claramente se pueden ampliar redes y acceder a las últimas tendencias del ecosistema empresarial. Pero también tenemos un grupo de LinkedIn de Mujeres ConnectAmericas, o también nuestro canal de WhatsApp que frecuentemente, digamos, permanentemente está enviando novedades y oportunidades en tiempo real, y vamos a compartir un código QR para que puedan escanear al final y si tuvieran interés, se puedan sumar. Si pudiéramos pasar...
Irasema ya está acabando, ¿bien?
Sí, ya, me quedan 2 láminas. Si podemos regresar una, por favor. Ya es el último, la última lámina.
The previous one,
The previous one, please.
And we are, yeah.
Sí. Muy brevemente, simplemente aquí queríamos mostrar algunos casos reales de éxito en donde diferentes, ¿no? Está aquí Andrea, Priscila, donde ven ejemplos de empresarias que gracias a su, ya sea la participación en estas ruedas de negocios, a que completaron los cursos, a que se conectaron a las redes de mujeres, pudieron o ampliar sus mercados, exportar a otros mercados o tener presencia en países en donde no estaban, tener acceso a otros compradores. Contarles que tenemos historias de, ¿no? Casos de éxito de mujeres que gracias a estas herramientas han podido crecer sus conexiones, ampliar sus negocios y que podemos medir como la efectividad de poder usar estas herramientas y de ponerlas a disposición de todas. Por último está en la última lámina el código QR y con mucho gusto pues cualquier otra información o links que hagan falta los podemos proveer con mucho gusto. Gracias.
Muchas gracias, Irasema. Thank you very much for very interesting presentation. And again, something that can interest a number of initiatives that are, of course, Connect Americas for the Americas, but are also open actually to other continents. And that's a great opportunity. We are going to come back to you. Please put your questions already in the chat. And I have a bit of a quick request from Prisca. She's in South Africa, but she's having connectivity problems. So she asked if she can be the next one. Sure, if you don't mind, we get her first. So Prisca, UEFA prepare the PowerPoint as well because she will not be able to share it with the connectivity she has. Prisca is the chair, Prisca Soko is the chair of African Women in Business. So for the African as well continent, but based in South Africa. And actually she's a business leader, also an auditor with a long experience in business development. And she has been extremely active on all the financial sector as well, the audit committees, boards across the public and private sector as well. And she, she's a long time member and shareholder of Women in Oil and Energy in South Africa, which is, you can imagine, a very powerful group where women actually are taking part now, which was traditionally reserved to men. And for the Southern Africa region, the SADC region. But now from the group of business women in SADC region, it has expanded to Africa. So please come in, Prisca. Thank you very much for being with us. AOEFA is sharing the slides. So please, next slide, AOEFA. Go on, Prisca. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm very much honored to be part of this webinar. A big thank you to COLEAD and to the United Nations Women for bringing us all together. African Women in Business is an organization that we started in 2019 in June, after we have realized that we cannot just be one sector focused. We were mainly in the oil and energy and renewable energy sector, and we wanted to harness the opportunities that were coming from the other different sectors that we wanted to focus on. And so we are now an organization fully formed to bring in women business owners and promote their businesses so that they can harness the opportunities that the markets offer and have economic benefits. So the reason why we wanted to strengthen the wealth creating capacity of our members and promoting economic development within the entrepreneur community, creating innovative and effective change in the business culture, and then building strategic alliances and coalitions and affiliations with other women-owned organizations and even men-owned organizations. We have strategic alliances with other institutions with similar interests that we have, and also to transform government policies and public policies that relate to women participation. Can I have the next slide, please? When it comes to capacity building, we focused on 3 areas: the trade aspect of the capacity building, and ICT and financial literacy. These were the 3 individual programs that we developed as African women in business. On the trade side, we have trained cohorts, about 3 cohorts of women in Africa in about 12 different countries on export trade training. We did the export trade training in partnership with a UK funded organization, and we did it to train women who were already having products that were almost export ready, but not yet there in terms of standardization, in terms of the international requirements on exports itself. So we thought, let's train women to make sure that they brand the product on an international branding standards, make sure that they are licensed for export, that they comply with relevant licensing and standardizations for different categories of their products. And so those trainings, we trained more than 120 women on our export trade training program that we did. It was actually funded by TFSA, and it really produced great results. We have a couple of those women organizations that are already in the export market as we speak, because we then continued bringing access to market networks for them so that they can take the products internationally. Many of those women, they were in the agriculture sector, the small industries of manufacturing, not really very, very big. We were promoting small, medium enterprise kind of businesses that were running in that sector. And we, traditionally businesses like the leather manufacturing, leather handbags, businesses like organic honey, which is also very much on the global demand, businesses in the tea, organic green teas for exports as well. So we find that there's many women who participate on small levels for these kind of sectors. So we have now a network of more than 5,000 women that are on the trade platforms that we have created. In the ICT sector, we have training that has been developed to make women digitally capacitated. Many women that we have done our study through the USAID funded program that we did a survey on barriers to trade in Africa, we discovered that many women in the SMME sector and MSME sectors, they do have challenges on digital capacity and digital skills. And so we have partnered with one of our premium members of African Women in Business to bring for her training on the ICT basics of knowledge of how to do online trading, online marketing, all the digital tools that a woman needs to promote their own business on a website or on a platform like Facebook or Instagram. And so we find that that digital training program has really produced good results for us in terms of trying to lift the standard of women from a basic standard to at least have a formalized business that can perform internationally. We are also working in line with the Africa Free Continental Trade Area Agreement that promotes that we should trade amongst ourselves. We have found that traditionally women, even though they are in business, they are very comfortable trading within the community that they belong to. But growing outside the communities, even nationally, you find that the participants become less and less and fewer. Worse when it comes to crossing the border and going to the next level of inter-country trade, you find that the participants become even much more fewer. And so we want to promote women to have confidence in trading within the continent and internationally, but using platforms that are internationally recognized. And that alone is a challenge on its own, promoting an informal business and trying to make them participate in a formal environment. And so we have developed a financial literacy training program to try and bridge the gap and attract women who have never had any financial training before to understand that the vegetables that they are selling on the local vegetable market, how do I develop that vegetable business and count my profits and count the cost of producing that vegetable, and how can I formalize the vegetable business that when I sell, I don't just put the money in my handbag and go home and buy a loaf of bread with it and 2 liters of cooking oil with it and never know how much was my cost, how much was my profit, but to try and educate that every business, even though it's starting from a small garden at the backyard, it has to be quantified. You have to know what is your cost of inputs, what is your output cost, what could be your profits, so that they can then develop bigger bankable business plans that can grow a small garden at the backyard to be a 1 hectare farming project and a 2 hectare farming project in the future. So with the literacy training program that we have elementary training for those startups, for the women who are just starting to know financial literacy, and we have an intermediate training for the women that have an average knowledge of accounting skills and financial skills. Then we have an advanced training where we now develop proper bankable business plan and give women the skills of pitching business project at a higher level to IDF funders or any international funders that will be available. Giving examples for some of the projects that we have already developed in the renewable energy sector and the energy sector. We have successfully developed bankable business projects in the bunkering sector, where there's a few women who participate in that sector, where we refuel other ships at the harbor in South Africa, for example. And so women have 52% shareholding in such a big, huge bunkering business, where we compete with other male counterparts in other countries. And we have found out that those kind of businesses, they result in profitability that we have never experienced before, creating a legacy investments for our families as well. So let's go to the next slide. So on the financial literacy training program, we've partnered with Regenesis, an established training company that is doing a lot of degrees, accredited for degrees, diplomas. And so our program for financial literacy is actually an accredited financial literacy training program, and looking for funding for that. So, okay, I've spoken about the work that we've done in terms of survey of barriers to trade and the findings. We are also happy to share our findings for this professional survey that we have done. And we can go to the next slide as well, so that we can move fast. So we, on our barriers to trade survey that we have done. We have sampled questionnaires. We have done webinars with women in 12 different countries in Africa, and we have had face-to-face discussions on the real issues that they are facing. I think of highlight, I must just say that even though we are excited to go beyond our nations and our countries in business, the biggest barrier is language. You find that the minute you get out of your country to look for another English-speaking country, it's not as easy, or to trade between an English-speaking country and a French-speaking country, or a Portuguese-speaking country. You find that already the language itself becomes a barrier. You need interpreters. You need how to translate your product labels. I have produced a tea. I have my own personal business, for example. I do supply green teas that are specializing in herbal medicinal assisting healing functions like blood pressure, diabetes, cholesterol, sleeping easy. And those labels are made in English. And I want a country, I have to have someone who can interpret my label in the correct form that it is in English, in Portuguese, for me to be able to then market my product in Mozambique. And to do that, you need capacity building. You need also investments that you can be able to outline your product in 5 different languages so you can expand from your country where you belong. It takes time, it takes capital, and those are the challenges that we found when we were doing our survey. And the other challenge that we found on cross-border activities, on international activities, just to cross the border in Africa alone, as a woman-owned business, you face challenges of border corruption, marginalization of women, this whole thing that women, what are you doing in business, transport and logistics. We don't start with bulk deliveries. We want to start small with your small quantities to sell in another country. You find that the cost of transporting a small box of your tea is as high as transporting 2 tons of a truck of a tea to another country. So you have to scale up. You have to scale up in such a way that the market is ready for your product. And that alone is a challenge of crossing borders, logistics, corruption, women marginalization. It's a real issue. And so anyway, let's go forward to the next slide, please.
Yes, I think it's almost the end, Prisca. Yeah.
Okay, so what we want to promote, we want to speak to currently we are growing coffee. We are starting a project that is in the organic coffee growing. We have decided as women to say we cannot just do generic businesses. Let's choose the niche markets that are available internationally that we can also perform and participate in. And we have identified in the agriculture sector that we want to focus on 2 crops, and that's the coffee, organic coffee growing. And the second crop that we will be developing in 2026 is the olive oil and olive growing. So we do growing of the olives and the beneficiation of the olives to olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, and the organic coffee. And so we want to continuously allow women to come into the sector of agriculture outside of the traditional crops that are normally grown and promote niche products that have got already a global demand on it. And thank you very much. I'm willing to take in emails, contacts from people who are interested in our lines of businesses that we are busy with at the moment and growing going forward. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Prisca. We can follow up. If you are still connected, you can always put in the chat. We had a question for you from one of the participants, that is, if the very small business, women business who work at local market, not export, but local, be spice, herbal, aromatic, and so on, but who aspire to export, who really are willing to export, but are still today too small, can count on your support, and what type of support you deploy, what type of work you do. You can put it in the chat if it's easy for you, and if not, we will follow up, by email. It depends. I count on you. Connectivity, though. And the other question we had as well is more on the finance side. What are, based on your experience, a bit the most urgently needed measures or actions or strategies to unlock the potential of women collaborative business models in Africa, but really there need to be changes in policy and finance in the African continent. So if you want, you can put it in the chat. Would that work? Or you can come towards the end. What is the best for you?
I will put it in the chat.
Perfect.
And yes, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, because you have a very interesting work and certainly very much needed in the context of the Africa, continental free trade area as well, and at regional level. Many opportunities for entrepreneurs, but we also know that it's not easy, to capture them. It's a lot of information to get, and women are often excluded. A lot of course, skills development, business networks, and so on. So very important work you do. We continue. Thank you again. And we continue now with Mini. So I hope you can hear me well, because I'm in English.
I can, yeah. Thank you.
Hearing the French. Let me see. Okay, I hope you hear me well. If not, Nina, alert me. So we are going now to really another part of the world, Southeast Asia, North Asia, North Oceania, with WEConnect International. And I've been very impressed with what the little I have learned, and I am very eager to learn more today from Mrinalini, I hope I pronounce well, Venkatachalam. You are the regional director for Southeast Asia and Oceania, and you provide, of course, support to WEConnect International in different ways: brand visibility, conducting outreach to women entrepreneurs and corporate buyers, which is a key, of course, key one in the region. And the region you always mention is one of the fastest growing for small and medium enterprises, including those that are really owned by women. So your areas are also consistency in quality that allow these businesses to remain sustainable, to of course provide employment and have positive effects in the communities they are with or they are linked with. So you have a lot of experience in bridging that gap between the unmet social needs and service providers, and giving large corporations, government agencies, community organizations, and social enterprises the platform really to link, to connect, and to create a measurable social impact. And you have been awarded, with, for example, among others, Singapore Women Weekly's Great Woman of Our Time Award, in the public service and education category, and you have been also nominated as one of the Clio Singapore, top 10 change makers. So very happy to have you here. Again, it's very late to you in Singapore, so we are very, very appreciative and welcome with your presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Isolina. Hi, everyone. My name is Minnie. I am the regional director, as Isolina said, for WEConnect International for the Asia Pacific region. And I'm coming to you from Singapore today, where it is now 11 p.m. But it's been so great hearing from the other speakers. What WeConnect National does is also very much to ensure that women-owned businesses have market access. If you could go to the next slide, please. So around the world, women are key stakeholders when it comes to having purchasing power. Over 80% of the world's purchasing. Next slide, please. The world's purchasing power lies in the hands of women. An organization that has at least one female founder does 60% better financially than an organization that is entirely male-owned. A report I read today said that women-owned businesses are over 70% more likely to factor in social, economic, environmental, governmental sort of risks and sort of evolution in their business models. And yet, less than 1% of global procurement spend goes to women. And this is not because women are incapable. This is not because they can't do the work. This is because historically women have had limited access, and all of the contracts, the networks, the boys club has excluded women from this job. So it's in 2025, it's just stupid that we're still at a 1% number for this. And that's what WEConnect National is looking to change. Next slide, please. So WEConnect National is a US headquartered nonprofit. We work in 135 countries with over 20,000 businesses at this point. And of course, we're looking to scale much, much beyond that, because in most countries, there's a substantial number of women-owned businesses, whether starting from the ultra micro, small and medium enterprises. And, working with, at this point, in about 180 corporations that have committed to buying from women-owned businesses. We want to show that there is an immense pipeline of qualified women-owned businesses in every sector in the world, who are extremely capable in delivering to large buyers. And to buyers of all sizes, honestly. So the reason we still have to do this in 2025 is because there's still gender bias in supply chains, where I personally have met with buyers who've said, look, we're a really large organization. Our contracts are really large. With that comes a lot of responsibility. Women have so many other responsibilities. Would they actually be able to do credit to our contract process? And that doesn't make sense, because you would never ask a man that question. You'd say, are they qualified? Is he competitive? Where's the value proposition? What is the track record? This is a great organization. Let's give this contract to them. But that's where the gender bias comes in, and women aren't getting the number of contracts that they should. And yet, these are the same corporations that when they go to work with these women, they're introduced, they start working with them, they're really excited. They say, oh my God, this supplier is agile, they're effective, they do the work in half the time. They're the perfect supplier for us. We just never knew they existed. And that's exactly what we're trying to do. We're not saying that, women need charity, that you need to give them contracts in a plate. What we're saying is they're damn good at what they do. They deserve a seat at the table to be able to compete and prove that they are the best for every contract opportunity, irrespective of the sector. So at this point, we work with women-owned businesses women-owned businesses can be a part of the network in two ways. You can either register or certify. A registered women-owned business self-declares as women-owned, which means that they're minimum 51% owned, managed, and controlled by one or more women. This is a standard that's set globally for every, what we call diverse suppliers. So whether that's for veterans, minority-owned, disability-owned, etc. The same standard applies, and it is a standard that was actually set by the corporations to ensure that whoever they are working with, there's a majority ownership. Therefore, the money in this case truly goes into the hands of women. So we work with women on this. They can self-register, be a part of the network, and I'll show you how to do that in a few minutes. But also what happens is when corporations want to verify, right? We said they truly want to make sure that money is going to the hands of women. So they reach out to to us to say, okay, can you actually do due diligence on these businesses and get them certified to ensure that they are indeed 51% owned, managed, and controlled? And the reason we look beyond ownership is because as more organizations commit to buying more from women, there is a lot of scams that are run. Where they put women as a figurehead and at the front of the organization, but they don't actually have a say in the day-to-day, in the long-term strategy of the organization, or in how the future of how this organization exists. And we don't want that. We want to make sure that truly money is going to the hands of women, because when women thrive, economies thrive. An organization that gets contracts with a contract, when a business gets a contract, they grow for 250%. But they're also equally 250% more likely to then invest in families, communities, building their economy, as compared to men who only do 10%. So there's a reason why you should be investing in women. And so we work with women with three different stakeholders. We have women-owned businesses, so identifying women-owned businesses, sector agnostic, any kind of women-owned business, any size. And depending on the size and where they are in their journey, it could be depending what we do like a business readiness assessment, and based on that, we will say, okay, so do you need capacity building to get you to where you need to be to start supplying to whatever tier of buyer you're looking at? What do you need in terms of understanding contract opportunities? Like, you know, we've seen today that there are amazing organizations doing such fantastic work. How can we complement that rather than reinventing the wheel? So what we focus on is really procurement readiness. So that could be anything from building up your business strategy to learning how to pitch to a buyer of any size, to leveraging technology to grow your business, but also to promote your business. You know, leadership for the women-owned business, but particularly in terms of being able to communicate the USP of the organization, because many buyers have cited that as a reason why they really do want to make the business case to have a women-owned business in their supply chain, but they need to obviously show competitiveness against their incumbent. So how can we enable them to really shine? But once all this is done, we also then will introduce all of these businesses to actual buyers, because that's what we do. We connect. We bring buyers and suppliers together for actual contract opportunities and to see how we can grow and scale the opportunities that are flowing into the hands of women. And it's really worked amazingly. There's the you know, from the EYs and the other organizations of the world, the buyers we work with have about 4 trillion in purchasing power. Imagine if we could move it from 1% to 2%, that's already over $2 billion in the hands of women. As we scale more and more, I mean, our goal is obviously to get to 50 at some point, but even if that went to 10%, imagine how much money that would put into the hands of women and what good could be done to scale economies through that. So that's why we do what we do. The second stakeholder, as we said, is buyers, corporate organizations. So we work with them to do sort of like a baseline of their supply chain, how much they're actually buying from women, set goals in terms of, okay, here's how much you should be buying from women, and helping them with every RFP opportunity to ensure that diverse suppliers are included. So we work with them to do at least the rule of 1, where in everything you have to have at least one women-owned business competing. And then it becomes the norm rather than the exception. At some point, we shouldn't have to look at the gender of who's supplying. We just have the most qualified business. But until then, we want to make sure that women are truly being included in that contracting opportunity. So pushing them to actually be more conscious, and then of course doing M&E every year to ensure that how is the process thing, where do you need to shift in terms of making sure you are being more inclusive, etc. The last stakeholder we work with is governments, because none of this is possible without the public sector. The greatest buyer in any country is the government. So how can we move public procurement and public funds into the hands of women and enable women to be better suppliers in the public procurement systems? But that also then the other side of it is policy. In countries like Australia, there is mandated procurement from the indigenous communities. How can we move that to make sure around the world that other countries are actually also mandating spend with diverse suppliers like women, so that more money is moving into the hands of women? And one of the big things that we do is also to change that bias that, they think women are really small, they're ultra micro businesses only, they only work in certain sectors, they're not capable of moving into other bigger sectors. So showcasing the success stories, the narratives of women in every sector. If you look at this slide, you see this is just the biggest ones that you have, right? But if you actually break this down even further, women are in every single industry. So whether that's construction, manufacturing, professional business support services, agriculture. We've listened to some amazing narratives today about agriculture, especially. Women are in every single thing. Yesterday, I was asked, do you know somebody who can actually do storage of important papers? So like an Iron Mountain, but a women-owned business that does it. And I thought, maybe that doesn't exist, but let me see. And of course it does. There are amazing women across the world, across the region who do that. So women-owned businesses exist in every sector. So changing that narrative of oh, women are only capable of certain things is something that we work on consistently with buyers to move that needle. And we obviously want to welcome more and more and tell more and more stories of women-owned businesses everywhere in the world, because that is what changes that narrative. I can talk till the cows come home, but the stories of women who are truly moving the needle in every single sector is what makes all the difference. Next slide, please. So the key thing that if you want to be a part of the WEConnect National Network, like I said, it's free actually to register. Certification does come at a cost, but that's optional. It's free to register to be a part of the WEConnect National Network. We have regular events, regular conferences. Next week, we will be hosting a huge event at the World Expo in Osaka, where we're bringing together women-owned businesses from around the world, buyers from around the world, and first starting with that narrative on a world stage of the World Expo, saying, hey, it's important that women-owned businesses are involved in all of the narratives, whether it's in economic development policies, whether it is in how you're building out procurement strategies, and it's also all of the government policies around the world in terms of helping small and medium enterprises. How is that actually helping women who have different perspectives, closer perspectives of what's actually happening on the ground? How is that helping them grow, scale, and access finance, access resources, access all of the amazing networks that you're seeing on this here today and beyond? So if you want to reach out to us, that's my email address right there. We'd love to have you join. Like I said, we have Osaka coming up, but then we have things in New Orleans, in Africa, in Europe, in Americas, everywhere in the world. We'll be in Australia in August. So looking forward to have you join us on this journey. And if you have any questions, my email's right there, or you can follow us on social media.
Thank you so much for this, again, also inspiring, presentation, Mini. We'll seize those opportunities. Thank you very much for inviting us, because it's all about learning and exchanging today. Thank you very much as well for sharing that, in all sectors, women are already present, and at a level. So this tendency to keep you small or almost insignificant, so is I wouldn't say is deliberate, but is wrong, and hence the efforts of all of our organizations to show what is happening already, and we do that at COLEAD, UN Women, and all of you in all the sectors. For us is agri-food. That really incredible, stories of success are there, and very often with nothing, with really very little outside effort. So they have built themselves, of course, with challenges like anybody, but they are in markets with incredible products, incredible branding, and so on. We have hundreds, thousands of them. So we want really to show that, to challenge that narrative that, small is not the case. Of course, they are small as well, like in any area, but there are big ones. And with little support, because where they are already with very little support they got, with a bit more, they can really reach impact, employment creation, really scaling. And because again, scaling becomes a buzzword, and you say scaling, and then you don't put any means into the scaling, which is wrong as well. Especially finance. There are many tools outside that sometimes are not adapted to what entrepreneurs need. So I'm very glad with what you said. I'm very impressed as well, with the reach, of your organization. The fact as well that you are open for collaboration with all continents as well, beyond. Absolutely. It's incredible, because initially you think, okay, that's your geography, like for the others, huh? It's your geography and you remain there. So it's really a lot has to be shared. And now learning at COLEAD, we work, for many decades in Africa, Caribbean, and Pacific, and now in all continents, is that really when we started having activities, but leaving it open and free, but for Caribbean or for Africa specific, featuring African entrepreneurs, or Caribbean, for example, we had massive participation from other continents, entrepreneurs. So, it means that lessons of an entrepreneur in other parts of the world can be really useful for you, If not, you don't lose your time, of course, too. So we have to do more of that. And I'm very, very impressed and very glad, with what you brought us. So we have still a presentation, but before that, I would like, for the ones that have presented already, perhaps to think about two questions that we take towards the end, in addition to specifics that would be in the Q&A. Nina is monitoring that. If you can share one or a couple, I don't know, example where really the collaboration or the networking in your organization, in your network, directly contributed to business growth or market expansion, or, if you have an example. And also, from your experience, from your networks and organizations, do you see barriers? Do you have difficulties on women entrepreneurs joining your network, your business network? Is it something that you had to work over the years because it was not easy for whatever reasons, and time, resources on whatever form? If you and we get back to you on that, and any other thing you want to add, obviously. So the last one, we go to the UN Women. Very pleased to have you, because we are partners in these sessions. And nice that you present today. We COLEAD resources will be done at another occasion. So is Natalia Buenahora, sorry. You are a private sector expert, digital and entrepreneurship regional alliance at UN Women-Americas and the Caribbean. So you really specialize, in entrepreneurship, the digital divide, which is a key, is very, very important subject, and the private sector. And you are responsible for the private sector with an initiative that involves a lot of, you will go through that, private sector. Women is Todas Conectadas, which means all connected in Spanish, which is a collaborative platform led by UN Women with partners. You will tell more about that. That really gives many resources to really strengthen that entrepreneurship side. We really want business growing and entrepreneurship part, strengthen from different parts. So please, Natalia, thank you very much for joining us. Very pleased. You will speak in Spanish. Please, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you,
If you can keep in 12 minutes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to join this conversation and to share this initiative. I also want to acknowledge the valuable contributions from the panelists who spoke before, because your work is truly inspiring and complementary to the efforts we are building. So the previous presentations have clearly highlighted the specific obstacles that women face when starting or growing their businesses, barriers that we deeply recognize and share within the context of Todas Conectadas initiative, which I'm going to present now. So in that spirit, I would like to zoom in one particular challenge, which is the poverty of time as a barrier for women entrepreneurs. So from that lens, we begin to understand one of the most powerful values of the initiative Todas Conectadas, which is, connecting versus the lack of time. So I'm switching now to Spanish for my presentation. Buenos días, un gusto estar aquí representando una iniciativa que busca cambiar realmente no solo la forma en que las mujeres acceden a la tecnología, sino también cómo acceden al poder de la conexión, que es el tema central que hoy nos convoca. Entonces, quiero contarles que Todas Conectadas es una iniciativa de la Oficina Regional de ONU Mujeres para América Latina y el Caribe, que nace en el contexto del Foro Generación Igualdad y la Coalición para la Acción en Tecnología e Innovación, que ahora lidera autónomamente, y esa plataforma nace con una meta clara, y es cerrar la brecha digital y económica que enfrentan las mujeres emprendedoras en América Latina y el Caribe. No lo hacemos desde la teoría, sino desde una plataforma tecnológica, gratuita, accesible y viva. Nos enfocamos en mujeres que tienen una idea de negocio o ya son emprendedoras, porque enfrentan desafíos particulares diferentes a las mujeres empresarias que lideran negocios, que tienen otros desafíos, pero que al no ser su empresa propia, pues no enfrentan otro tipo de desafíos que sí lo enfrentan las mujeres que son empresarias, emprendedoras. Así que, ¿qué es Todas Conectadas en concreto? Es una plataforma online, www.todasconectadas.org, que no solo ofrece cursos, sino una experiencia integral de acompañamiento, visibilidad y comunidad. Porque sabemos que el problema no es que las mujeres, por supuesto, no tengan ideas o talento. Bien lo decía la colega que habló en ConnectAmericas International. El problema es que muchas veces no tienen tiempo, redes ni orientación clara para dar el siguiente paso. Y ahí es donde entramos con esta iniciativa. Entonces, en poco más de 2 años, más de 35,000 mujeres han ingresado a la plataforma. Tenemos más de 35 cursos que han sido publicados por organizaciones expertas como el Instituto Centroamericano de Administración de Empresas, INCAE, por Microsoft y su plataforma LinkedIn e-Learning, por ProMujer. De hecho, ConnectAmericas también tiene su challenge para ingresar a cadenas de valor. Digamos, los tenemos publicados en nuestra plataforma porque nos enfocamos no en crear contenido, sino en poder centralizar todo el contenido que existe, que es muchísimo y que es demasiado. Lo que queremos es como acortarle a las mujeres esa brecha entre la diseminación de información, mi necesidad y cuál es mi siguiente paso. Entonces, también contamos con más de 19 comunidades activas que permiten algo que no es muy común en las plataformas que solo dan formación, y es hablar entre pares, mujeres de distintos países que comparten desafíos, ideas y soluciones, porque sí, los cursos son importantes, pero muchas veces lo que cambia la perspectiva es escuchar a otra mujer decir, yo lo logré, tú también puedes. So next slide, please. We at the end, if we have time, I will go live into the URL, but now please switch to the next slide. Okay, thank you. Bueno, Todas Conectadas ofrece una ruta de formación adaptada a las distintas etapas del emprendimiento. Esto es súper importante porque nos queremos enfocar desde aquellas mujeres que tienen una idea y están comenzando sus negocios hasta emprendimientos que ya están más consolidados y tienen que profundizar conocimientos sobre análisis financiero, inteligencia artificial aplicada a los negocios o incluso automatización de redes sociales o marketing online. Entonces, si quieres saber en qué etapa digital está tu negocio, Todas Conectadas te conecta con un test de madurez digital para saber en qué estado estás y orientarte en qué necesitas. Si ya manejas herramientas, puedes acceder a contenidos muy prácticos como automatizar tu Instagram con ManyChat, usar Later para programar redes o utilizar chatbots de atención 24/7 horas al cliente. Y es importante mencionar que algunos cursos como la aceleradora virtual o el Micro Mentor están en inglés, ya que fueron creados así por las organizaciones que los ofrecen, pero el 95% de los cursos pueden traducirse al inglés o al portugués o en general a cualquier idioma con la aplicación de Google Translator, activándolo directamente desde la plataforma. Entonces, aquí lo que marca la diferencia es que todo está curado y organizado. Lo que queremos es que las mujeres, quizás antes de llegar a plataformas o a espacios o a ofertas donde tienen un montón de información y todavía no saben bien si es para ellas o no, porque hay que entrar, ver, revisar y decir, ah, no, esto no es lo que yo estoy buscando, ah, no, eso está muy avanzado, ah, no, yo quiero algo mucho más básico. Entonces queremos como entrar a esa necesidad de tiempo versus demanda con un set de cursos curados, escogidos específicamente para esa ruta emprendedora desde hago mi negocio, hago crecer mi negocio, lo fortalezco con herramientas digitales, incluso llego hasta el sector de la exportación o cómo exporto internacionalmente mis productos. Entonces, no se pierden horas de búsqueda como en Google, sino se encuentra el contenido alineado con necesidades reales. Lo que queremos hacer es como un journey personal según las necesidades de formación de cada mujer emprendedora. Eh, en la slide estoy mostrando algunos de los grandes nichos de contenidos que tenemos en la plataforma. Como les digo, la plataforma no genera contenido, sino que conecta contenido de otras organizaciones, pero ese contenido que conectamos es un contenido curado. Hemos escogido como the best in class de las otras cosas para dar ese primer paso, para desatascarse en esa ruta de qué hago, que usualmente enfrentamos las mujeres emprendedoras. Next slide, please. Ahora, importante y el tema que nos convoca acá es la conexión, ¿no? O sea, conectar es clave. Ningún negocio crece en aislamiento. La conexión significa acceder a oportunidades, a un aprendizaje más rápido, a visibilidad y a una experiencia, por supuesto, mucho menos solitaria y más sostenible. Pero ese poder no es igual para todas. No es, para todas las personas no es igual ese poder de conectar, porque las mujeres, como ustedes saben, dedican 3 veces más tiempo que los hombres al trabajo no remunerado. Y eso, que parece una realidad estadística simplemente de uso de tiempo, en realidad deja menos margen para hacer redes. Por eso es que, según el Global Entrepreneurship Monitor, publica como un índice y ha destacado que la falta de redes es una de las principales razones por las cuales los negocios de mujeres no escalan. Un ejemplo claro es lo que vimos la semana de conexión empresarial con ALADI y ONU Mujeres. ALADI, que es la Secretaría de Integración Regional para América Latina, con quien también estamos haciendo partnership con Todas Conectadas, tiene una iniciativa que se llama Mujeres Latinas Exportan. Y ahí no solo se hacen contactos, sino se genera inspiración. Cuando una mujer ve que otra ya está exportando, piensa, yo también puedo. Y esa validación entre iguales es poderosísima y es de lo que se trata el poder de la conexión. También entendemos que el poder de la conexión no solamente es con pares necesariamente, sino también con mentores o mentoras. Por eso la plataforma también conecta a las mujeres usuarias con el programa Micromentor, que es de una ONG estadounidense que se llama Mercy Corps, donde en el marco de su programa de resiliencia económica pueden las mujeres usuarias conectar con personas voluntarias en diferentes partes del mundo, expertas en diferentes temas, para poder consultar dudas, pedir apoyo, orientación o cualquier cosa que crean que es mejor preguntarlo directamente a una persona experta en lugar de tomar la ruta de un curso de formación para ver si pueden encontrar la respuesta que están buscando. Por eso conectar no es un lujo realmente, es una estrategia de equidad para las mujeres emprendedoras. Next slide. I'm closing now because I'm reaching 10 minutes. So, Todas Conectadas no es solo para usuarias, es también una invitación para sumar a quienes crean contenido, gestionan comunidades o desarrollan tecnología. Lo digo para las colegas que están exponiendo en el panel de hoy, pero también para las personas que están en la audiencia, si saben de algún recurso, comunidad o alguna red que sea centrar, anclarla en Todas Conectadas para poder centralizar su difusión. Es totalmente bienvenida a contactarnos para poder hacer esa gestión. Estamos trabajando en una nueva versión de la plataforma que va a permitir que cada organización pueda ver sus datos sobre los cursos, cuántos los completan, cómo evolucionan, qué camino siguen, porque bueno, ustedes saben que lo que no se mide no se mejora, pero lo que se mide con propósito realmente transforma. Así que para cerrar y darle paso a las preguntas y a otros espacios donde si quieren puedo ampliar más información concreta, entender que conectar es poder, pero para muchas mujeres ha sido un privilegio. Todas Conectadas dice, no más, aquí puedes aprender, avanzar, equivocarte, volver a empezar y no hacerlo sola. Porque ninguna mujer debería sentirse que emprender es sinónimo de aislarse, sino una oportunidad para conectarse. Con eso entonces cierro acá mi presentación, Isolina, y damos paso entonces a preguntas más específicas.
Thank you. Muchas gracias, Natalia. Thank you very much, Natalia. Very great opportunity. I know a bit better UN Women because of this collaboration, but it's really an opportunity. And, you know, it's all continent open again, you know, to work with people from other parts of the world, multi-sector as well, which is critical. It's very complementary to what we do. That's why as well we work together and with the same spirit of working in partnership, because all connected, as you have said, you know, is the value of the connection. And sometimes things are there already accessible. Huh? That's why we continue saying, of course, there are areas of work where you need more funds, you need support. And this is also possible because we all have our other connections, you know, that are more transactional and where you need funds, and we also support those. But there is a lot out there, as we have seen today, very impressive, already of tools that you can just access and will really make a difference to your business, to the ecosystem, and so on. So very, very pleased. I've learned a lot. Before going to to the questions I mentioned to you before a bit, and towards the more the closing part. Nina, you have been monitoring a bit the questions, the Q&A and so on. Can you come in and tell us, yes, what do you have? I see a lot of, actually, before I forget, for our colleagues from Latin America, Caribbean, IDB, ConnectAmericas, and UN Women, I see a lot of comments from our Caribbean colleagues. We work a lot in the Caribbean ourselves, COLEAD, and there is a kind of little positive rebellion going on, saying, what all these networks that are in the other continents and we are behind, what is that? And so perhaps, you can come in a bit later saying, what do you do for the Caribbean, and if you cover the Caribbean as well, and not meaning that there is not eventually more to do, but I see a lot of comments on that sense, and a lot of course, of opportunities to exchange and to do a direct, let's say, business or direct, exchanges. But please, Nina. So Nina Desanlis-Perrin works at COLEAD. Actually, I'm very pleased that with OFR, she works in my department. Very enthusiastic, of course, very competent and knowledgeable, but very enthusiastic about entrepreneurs, even more about women entrepreneurs. So really following, supporting this initiative. Nina, please.
Thank you, Isolina. Hi, everyone. Thanks again to all the panelists. Very inspiring speeches you made today. So we'll go back to Nana first. So from the chat, one question that came over and over again were about the dates for this year's events, as you talked about when you presented. And actually, Nana put it in the chat. So maybe someone can paste the link again, but it's in the chat. Then I have a question for you, Nana. So Guzakuza has been instrumental in building networks for women agripreneurs. Can you share how these networks have helped women access export markets or adopt innovation in agriculture? And also in the same thought, have you seen examples where collaboration among women farmers have improved resilience to climate change or market shocks?
Hello, everyone. Sorry, I think I have a problem with my camera, so I'll just speak without camera, if that's okay. Yeah?
Yes.
All right, so I'll give you an example. We have women, so we created a Women in Agribusiness meetup for connection purpose, for networking purposes. And we've had success stories. For example, we have 2 women from different regions. I mentioned earlier Lucy from Ghana and the other person from Malawi, but there are also 2 groups from different regions who co-created a packaging initiative because of this Women in Agribusiness meetup. Through this, they were able to reduce costs. They were able to also increase product shelf appeal because they received investment because of this exposure and because of this platform. Another success story I can think of was just this quarter actually, because we have it every quarter. So this quarter, we had the meetup around credit union. So we have identified that credit is one of the main challenges when it comes to barriers that prevent women from thriving in businesses. So we are trying to create our own credit system where these women can access credit facilities easily. So in April rather, during one of our meetups, we realized that we could actually have a pool of women coming together to make this happen. And we have started just because of this meetup platform. And so far we have 50 people. We started just last month. So far we have 50 people who are contributing to this pool. We know that we don't have the collateral when it comes to bank loans. So why don't we take our own bold initiatives to create our own solutions? And that's what exactly we did. When it comes to market, I mentioned the Wi-Fi UK platform that we have created. So at Guzakuza, we also have the membership platform, which is the Women in Food and Agribusiness Initiative. So that is the Wi-Fi platform that we have created. And we are
we are building an ecosystem where women can trade amongst themselves, market amongst themselves, and we are having the e-commerce platform. Right now, what we have been able to do is to create a database of women on the continent. So when we go to our website right now, we have a platform where women collaborate, where women discuss the current trends, and where women can also easily connect. So if you're here and you want to be part of it, you can just go to www.guzakuza.com and just log in or register, and you can be part of it. So for markets, women in Africa can now trade with women in UK because we are also training them. I think the women from African Women mentioned this. We are also collaborating with AFTA and training our women on best practices, on how they can also have packaging services, like better packaging services that meet the international standards. That is what we are doing to create access to markets for them in Europe, and where the European women can also source directly from women in Africa. One of the things we're also doing through this connection, this is why I believe in the power of connection, is that, and again, it comes back to funding. We have realized that there are women in Europe, and this is within our own personal connections, and they have money in their savings, right? They are not utilizing the money currently. It's not like it's free money though, but they are not using the money right now. We have farmers in Africa women farmers in Africa who need this money. All right. So how can we create a win-win situation where these women can give their money to the women in Africa to work with? So this is not free money. We want to create a business environment, right? So we are not doing charity here. So these women can give their money, sort of loan it to them, all right? And these women will work with the money and give it back to them. So that is the platform we're also trying to create through the power of connection, so that the women will get their return on investment, and these women will also get investment they need. So these are some of the things we are doing when it comes to market and also the collaborations.
Thank you, Nana. Thank you. Yeah, can you hear me? Thank you. Very interesting. For a matter of time, we're gonna already go to Irasema, and I'm gonna ask you one question. So ConnectAmericas has facilitated many cross-border business relationships. What are some lessons learned about enabling meaningful virtual collaboration among women entrepreneurs across Latin America and the Caribbean?
Thank you, Nina. I think many of these barriers have been mentioned by some of the previous panelists, and again acknowledge all the knowledge, and it's very inspiring to hear all you are doing, and how most of these challenges are not cross-cutting. Like it's just we face very similar challenges, and well, listening to the questions and thinking, what could be like a different angle. I mean, we've heard about access to finance and how women sometimes are much more shy to reach out, to financial institutions, and that's the other thing I wanted to mention. There are many like self-imposed sometimes barriers, because women think their businesses might be too small, that they might not have the tools, that maybe their product is not as good. And I think these platforms, and we've tried to do some surveys and to understand better like their views. We see that there's an actual impact of using these platforms, not only because, as Natalia just mentioned, there's like a demonstration effect that's very true, that when women see other women being able to export or to get to the next level, from maybe a small business to a medium business, they have more confidence that they are able to do it. So I think that's one of the key lessons learned, and of the impacts we see of how women, after participating in these business roundtables, or doing the courses, or learning about having some additional financial education, or even like digital skills, which is also a huge barrier are really able to go to the next level. So that's something we have been able to measure specifically on how much, for example, women increased their exports, or if they weren't exporting, but now they made like the jump, as I mentioned, or requested some financing. So I think also that we have to work a lot on sort of like the self-imposed barriers. As we know, women in many cases take more, have a larger load regarding maybe family responsibilities, or like roles, complementary roles that sometimes limit the time they have to devote to expanding their businesses or connecting with people. So I think that having these platforms where they can connect, where they can learn from other experiences is a very valuable tool to try to address all of these barriers and challenges. I just wanted to add that. Thank you.
Thank you, Irasema. Now we have some questions for Prisca, but I believe she's not on the webinar anymore. So we'll go directly to Mini. Mini, we have one question from the chat, and it's from Rowena, saying, would WEConnect collaborate with women business support organization in other countries to help with women business certification?
Yeah, I actually replied to that in the chat. So yes, we do. So one of the things that we do is we develop partnerships, because I do, and definitely most of my team across the world believes that rather than reinventing the wheel, we would like to work with other organizations, share resources, share best practices. If somebody's doing something really well, supporting that rather than recreating the same thing. So yes, partnerships is an essential part of how we do what we do.
Great, thank you. Then I was wondering, because you've worked across very diverse regions, as you've said, could you maybe say a few words about what are some culturally specific strategies you've seen succeed in building inclusive networks for women entrepreneurs?
Honestly, one of the best things happened, during the pandemic, we were all isolated in our little bubbles because it is what it is. But one of the coolest things that happened is, so we partner with Moody's Corporation to do what we call our Growing Your Business Financial Bootcamp. It trains people to create their decks to be investment ready. So everything that you need to be investment and pitch ready and we did this event just to bring all of the graduates from around the world together, and it was just meant to be a fun thing. And it was the greatest opportunity because, especially at that time, what happened was, a lot of people from particular industries were losing business. And in hosting this event, we found that people from the same industries gravitated together, started sharing best practices, and then started building partnerships, which then, because now this became like a global network, for example, they started bidding for business together. So what strengths one, like we just talked about partnerships, the strengths that each of these businesses brought, the best practices that each of them had, building that together and having them think just made so much of a difference in terms of how, because a business from Latin America, for example, may not understand Japan or Indonesia, which are slightly more cultural businesses, but partnering with someone there who does the same thing, and then becoming like a global network where you can bid for business, saying, yep, I absolutely can do something in this other country because I have stakeholders who can do that, and so on and so forth. It's actually resulted in some amazing contracts where these businesses have pitched together. And it's putting money in the hands of multiple women-owned businesses across the world, and something we started off with for an entirely different reason, and now it's become a real big thing for us in terms of pushing this forward.
Well, that is great to hear. Thank you, Mini. We're gonna go to Natalia. So we have one question from the chat from Yolanda, asking, what is the experience of Todas Conectadas with you and women locally? We are setting up a women's association in a cafe, and would like guidance and support from UN Women in Pemba, Cabo Delgado, Mozambique. Is it possible for Todas Conectadas to provide guidance to women in Mozambique?
Hi, Nina. Thank you so much for the question and for the women has written us. I already answered her, giving my contact to put her in contact with our focal point in Mozambique's UN Women Office, in the focal point with Women Economic Empowerment, to see how they can collaborate. But I mean, in general terms, Todas Conectadas can collaborate or help you if you define what's your need. I mean, if your need is maybe in knowledge, or is in community, in like networking building, or is like you need mentoring. So maybe, yes, we can like guide you on how to give you support in what's your specific need. But I mean, yeah, like overall contribution, I would say yes, but I need like more information to help her, not to guide her.
Okay, great. Thank you. Maybe just one last question for you, in a few words. Maybe looking ahead, how do you envision Todas Conectadas evolving to not only support individual entrepreneurs, but also to foster broader collective economic empowerment among women?
Yeah, we have thought about two main strategies. First is business reconversion. So we are looking for women that, for example, are in the agribusiness or like the handcrafting markets, how incorporating technology, artificial intelligence, or digital tools can help them to switch their business into something more profitable. Like, for example, I always say the example, the women that sells like handcrafts, like handmade. What if she learns to digitalize those designs and then sell them into a online market, and then maybe sell it to featuring, I don't know, drawings or galleries or something that produce art based on handmade design. So this is like, we want to look forward to Todas Conectadas, like how to help women to reconverse their businesses if they can use more artificial intelligence and digital tools. That's one thought. And the other is, I don't know how to say it in Spanish, in English, associativismo and cooperativism. Like, we know that, for example, we Connect International and we ConnectAmericas, and we are like focused on how women-led businesses or women-owned businesses can sell to big corporations. But one of the main obstacles for doing that is maybe because the one women business is not able to provide all the demands that have the corporate institution. So we need to think about associate or make corporations of women businesses or women-led businesses, but most of all women business owned by women, so they can enhance their capacity to provide products or services to bigger corporations. So I think those two roads, just to recap, first, the one of the reconverting businesses, and the other associativism and cooperativism, to a way to enhance and reinforce the capacity of women-led businesses or women-owned businesses to participate in the economy.
Great, thank you, Natalia, and thanks to everyone. I will give back I will pass it to Isolina. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nina. Thank you, all of you. There are still a few questions we have answered. I have answered some in the Q&A, but just because there were, resources in what type of work we do, of course, I can't speak with all of you, but from what has been said today, we do many things in common. I mean, support, technical support, skills development. Then in the skills development, it can be more on the business side of on the enterprises. It can be more on the technical issues, certified, organic, markets. So I said we have a lot. And what we will do is when we will share the report that we do, we will also put the resources of each of our organizations, but more in detail as well, that you can see what specific services and so on. That is what we are going to do, because there is coffee. I mean, a series of questions which bring a bit to the same. We all have resources on that, and then you can choose, you know, what you need, and we can, as other organizations, direct you as well to the people, to the colleagues we have in the country, at country level as well, you know, that are very much supporting specifically that. So we are we have now little time left. It has been really, you know, very, very interesting. We learn a lot, and it's an amazing work done already there. I hope that we can really strengthen our collaboration. I will just ask now, before giving the floor to Alonso, and telling again that we will share all the PowerPoints. We have a dedicated website. We will share all the PowerPoints, the recording of today, the resources as I have mentioned, and we have also an email that Nina will share now for any of the questions. I have put that in the Q&A as well. You have. Even I know that among the participants, there are many networks themselves as well, networks of networks. You know, or entrepreneurs, or, you know, other very skilled and knowledgeable people. If you want to come in one of our next sessions and present, and, you know, we are open, as you saw today, it's not about our resources or our, you know, as UN Women or COLEAD. So please reach out, any question you have, any, you know, and we will follow up from there. On the amazing panelists, I mean, do you have anything else you want to add? I mean, something else that you had no opportunity to say, you know, and we bring sometimes again the questions from the chat, because some people connect at different times and then they don't see the questions before and they don't see the answers and so on. But is there anything, I mean, Nana, Irasema, Mini, Natalia, that you want to say that you haven't said before we kind of close? And thanking you again and again and again, and saying that this is the start of a conversation and not the end. Do you want to add anything?
No, from my side, no, Isolina. I think, I mean, you can reach us through Todas Conectadas. We can connect through there. So thank you very much for the opportunity to engage in this panel.
Thank you, Isolina. If I may very briefly just reiterate the invitation to learn more about our platform. It's, as we said, it's free. It's there are many resources available, and hopefully it will be also helpful for colleagues in other regions. And thank you again for the invitation and for learning of all of these very inspiring initiatives.
Nana or Mini, you want?
So yeah, so this is just from me. Don't wait for the moment. Don't wait for opportunities. You just have to go for it. Create your own opportunities. If you want to contact us, so let's connect. Thank you.
I think my colleagues have said most of what there is to say, but for me, one of the things I would tell any women-owned businesses that don't let anyone define what you can or cannot do. So whether it is, you know, scaling your business and everyone believing in whether, you know, the investment, the resources that you need, whatever it is, believe in yourself, but also if we work together, we can move the needle to ensure there's equitable access for everyone. And that we move to a day when we don't have to look at gender as a factor in how everyone receives equal opportunities, equal rights, and equal progress.
Absolutely. Very well said. I've really nothing to add from our side. And thank you again, all of you. As I said, you will receive communication from us, and give the last, and the interpreters, of course, that allow us all this, you know, exchange and languages. And I give the floor to Alonso for the last part. He's, of course, Alonso is from COLEAD, from UN Women, and we welcome him at COLEAD. Actually, you know, we are kind of the same. So he's really the daily counterpart. He puts a lot of energy and passion, and also bringing all the continents, and is the Women Economic Empowerment Associate at UN Women. Is currently based in the Caribbean, in Barbados. Lucky him. But anyway, but he is really making a lot of efforts, you know, to expand this network. And it's a pleasure. He's in contact daily with Nina, now EFA. But I thank you, Alonso, with your, you know, all the efforts and, you know, passion you put into this work. And we need young men like you to support our cause. So please, and thanks again to everybody from my side. Alonso?
Thank you so much, Isolina. Thank you so much to everyone. I'm gonna try to keep it shorter. It's gonna just take me 5 minutes to do kind of the closing remarks and next steps. Thank you everyone for being here. I would like to start by asking you to think yourself about what are your capacities, what are your skills. You can even write them in the chat. So if you can identify what do you think are your skills as entrepreneurs, as business networks, because it's important to identify our skills when we have to think in an innovative way, when we have to think sharp, when we have to start creating a strategic partnership as we are doing now. I have to tell you that, as Isolina mentioned, and as we know, this is not the end, this is not the objective, this is one step forward in our way to the creation of business networks. And please think about which are your needs, your skills, so we can move. As Nana was saying, she was giving us the example of this powering connection between Southern Africa and Western Africa. This is a good example, a good showcase about entrepreneurship and networking. So let's think about how we can reach new markets, even if there are barriers, existing barriers, social barriers. But let's think about exploring new regions, new customer segments, because this is important. Another thing I want to highlight today is about what Jeremy said at the very beginning of the introduction, that women must be at the center of our conversation, but not only here. They should be at the center of the conversation when we talk with men as well, and when we are talking with men in business networks, because there are huge differences between networks when we talk about men and women, and we can identify these network differences. Men and women don't have the same access. Men have larger and diverse social networks compared with women, and this is important to highlight. Then men and women networks are segregated by gender. What this means that women networkers are most likely conformed by women themselves. So we can explore this idea of reaching also men business networks and networks in general. Also to say that women rely on their networks when they are starting their businesses, but then they stop relying on these networks. In the other hand, men rely more on their networks when we are talking about sharing information, equipment, or supplies. And as some of you were saying, women cover all the industry. It's not that they cannot supply. It's not that they don't have the capacity to cover the industry. So we as women entrepreneurs, let's rely on women for every single step of the entrepreneurialism and business processes. I would like to go now and to highlight why is important this panel. This panel is important because it's showing us that we have, as Natalia was saying, we have mentoring programs and networking platforms. Today we have five different business networks speaking here, having a space to talk around the whole world. So as I was saying at the beginning, let's think in a smart way. Let's think about our skills, and let's think in an innovative way about what are our entry points and our points of connection between each other. Let's explore this. As we were saying, networks are important and as a growth tool for the entrepreneurs. Let's think about this, about new and diverse connections, because this is gonna help us to create a strong and sustainable ties between us. Connecting women in men-dominated networks. That's important. It's difficult to do. It's difficult to do, and we will not always do because of these social barriers, because of our your condition of women, that many men are not gonna see us as a liable or whatever it is, a partner. But let's also speak and raise our voices in men-dominated networks, because this is the way we have to connect also and to destroy some of the barriers. Last thing I want to say, just to finish very quickly, we are gonna keep this connection with you as we had been doing during the last 3 sessions. We are gonna share our knowledge as we are doing. We are gonna share this PowerPoint. We are gonna share the emails, the connection. I had been seeing in the comments and in the chat fruitful connections between you already, asking about the emails. That's the idea also of these sessions and this webinar. And just to end my speech, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us, for all the effort you are doing. I know you are in different time zones. COLEAD and UN Women are delightful to still this connection around the world. We are open to still exploring this connection between markets, between people, between you. And it's a big opportunity for us, and we will keep working with you in the way. Thank you so much, Isolina. Thank you so much to the interpreters. Thank you so much to all the participants. It has been a pleasure for me. Yeah, have a great day. Have a good night wherever you are. Thank you so much, and we will see each other very, very soon. Thank you so much. If you want to add something, it's the moment to do it now.
Bye bye. Adiós.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Adiós, 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 adiós.